Now I'm very happy to welcome back a man that makes it all happen at Circus Sports and the Vice President of Operations and Mike Palm. You can follow Mike on X at Mike Palm Circa. Mike, thanks for coming back on the show. Are you yet in the Christmas spirit?
My wife gets me in the Christmas spirit early because we start shopping for presents like late September, right? So,
Whoa.
and then she starts putting the trees up in early October. And she said more decorations outside. I do that all like right after Thanksgiving. I put up more last night. So yes, I'm fully in the mood.
That's great, man. I have the same issues here. We start shop with 3 kids. We start shopping for Christmas quite early, and that's life. But hopefully, maybe we can win a few bets here and make that a little bit easier on us. So that would be absolutely wonderful, man. So, got to ask you a first question: what the heck happened to Survivor? 10 people left. What?
We were chugging along heading into Thanksgiving with 900, and we were saying, oh, what if 200 people win? What if it's not going to be good? If everybody only gets 100,000, 200,000, it's going to ruin Survivor. And in 3 picks, we went from 900 to 10. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this run. We talked about we didn't have a lot of chaos, and we really didn't during the year the way we did last year. Last year, 97% of the entries were gone after week 5. So we were still sitting here with 900. Relative value of each entry was around a little over 20,000. And then, day/Black Friday massacre happened where all 4 betting favorites lost. And we went from 900 to 49. And then it was a pretty stable week. On that Sunday, the Rams lost at Carolina, so 4 more got eliminated. So we rolled in with 45. Yeah, maybe we hit, last year we hit the final week with 18 and we ended up with 8. So it looks like I said maybe we're at that number again. We're around 15. We get to the final week, 12 to 15. Well, we're already below it because the Bucks lose to the Saints at home. That takes out 28. And Tennessee, a 1-win team, wins at Cleveland, and all of a sudden we have 10 left. That's it. So you went from 10 days earlier, the value of your entry was 20,000. Now the value of your entry is almost 1.9 million. Think about that.
Well, Mike, what makes me feel better is I would have went out Thanksgiving week. I went out week 9. I only had 1 entry. I made it to week 9. I thought it was pretty cool. But then I broke a rule and bet on a bad coach and Raheem Morris. And I don't even think Cousins practiced with the number ones that week the way that they got blown out. It was just absolute insane. I have to have a list just to get teams like Cleveland, just no matter how I got to burn them. Oh, you're going to get burned is what's going to happen when you get on those teams and just be like, suck it up. I am amazed that these are worth 1.87 million right now, and best of luck to the guys left. But it's just so crazy to see this. I was telling my wife, 18,700 entries this year and 10 are left. What an amazing contest you guys throw on every single year. It makes me just can't wait to get in. But at the same time, man, if I had 10 or 20 entries, I would have been out because I would have went on the Eagles and the Ravens and I would have lost. I have to rethink the way I do things a little bit here coming into Survivor for next year, my friend.
I think the lesson here is forget about just saving the 2 best teams. Save 2 teams in the same game and use your double option on Thanksgiving and Christmas, because the people who had Baltimore and Philadelphia played it right. They saved those teams for the holiday week, right? So
yes,
I think that's the lesson.
Yeah, you're probably right. Double it up, and that's some great advice from the man who runs it all. All right, let's talk a little NFL, little NFC. I'm a Bear fan. I'm actually admitting it this year. But then I'm scared. I mean, you see the team that's 9-4, but I think you need 11 wins, man, to secure this wild card. What do you think? Do you think you need 11 wins with the teams bunch up in the top to make the wild card?
I do a 2-hour radio program on WLS every Saturday night, Bet on Chicago. And I do multiple hits in the Chicago media market. And, they started getting excited about week 7, week 8. I've said all along, it's a path to 11. You need 11 wins to be a wild card in the NFC. Now, heading into that Packer game, you need to win 2 games. preferably one of the two against the Packers. You have to beat Cleveland. So this is a must-win this week. The worst spot on the whole schedule for them is the Sunday after Christmas at San Francisco. They will get blown out. They have no shot of winning. I'm just telling you. I've watched the Bears. They have a better shot of beating the Packers. They have a better shot of beating the Lions. That game at San Francisco, forget about it. So that means you got to beat Cleveland, and then you either got to beat the Packers or Detroit. If you don't, I don't think you can make it, because you can say only Detroit. They only have to fend off Detroit, but Carolina has a very interesting schedule, right? They're going to only be favored in one of their games, but they have like 3 winnable games. So that puts that into the mix too. If the Bears win their next 2 games, they're alive to win the division and then be a top 2 seed as well. So, I mean, everything's up for grabs. I thought the game at Green Bay validated the improvements they've made. Look, they played a bad first half and they still had the ball at the end of the game to send it to overtime. So yeah, I think it validates that.
Absolutely. But, just beating Cleveland will get you 10 wins, but you need one more. It's got to be Green Bay. According to you, it won't be at San Fran. And the Lions would be your last shot. So I'm going to say 11 wins for all these teams, minus the Packers, who can go 10-3 or 10-5-1 or whatever, 10-6. The Packers have at least that tie that gives them one less loss if they're tied with 10. Let's get into this game then. It's the first game to talk about since this will air after Thursday Night Football. The Bears are hosting the Browns. Bears minus 7.5, total 38.5. I'm not laying points with the Bears past 3. This could be a dangerous game for them because the Browns are just they got Myles Garrett. They got sometimes their defense can show up. They're embarrassed from last week. It's just, I don't even like the teaser personally, but it's the only teaser leg for the Longs this week.
No, I think it's a teaser leg, right? If you're interested in the Bears here, but they're going to run the football. Tennessee found the formula. Run Pollard up inside. If you want to pass the ball, you're going to get sacked. I mean, they sacked the Titans 9 times and still lost the game.
Right.
You have to be able to run the ball to control the line against Cleveland. You can't just sit there and drop back. They're going to get Caleb killed if they do that. Let's be honest. Run the ball, play defense, take advantage of a rookie quarterback who's only making 3rd or 4th start on the road, and stay ahead in the game. Make Cleveland play from behind. I think the Bears will be okay. They've only covered 7.5 3 times this year in their 9 wins. If you go back and you look at it, right? And at Philadelphia was one of them because Bozo Sirianni wants to go for 2, all that nonsense that they do there. And then they covered it against the Saints and the Cowboys, but they're not a team that wins by margin. So I agree with you here. I'm not laying 7.5.
Cardinals, Texans minus 9.5. There's a few 10s in the books if you really searched. Totals 42.5. Was really hoping that you'd throw out a 10 at the circa numbers this year, which I'm tied for 580th, which ain't terrible, but I'm going to have to go on a hell of a run. I'm taking the Cardinals. This is a terrible spot for the Texans after the big Chiefs win, in my opinion. I believe that, the Cardinals are still kind of sneaky and, no one's believing in them. It's kind of the time that the Texans really show that bad offensive line off this week and feel a little too comfortable with what they've accomplished. I think the Cardinals played a lot of close games myself.
Yeah, I just want the Texans to win the game because I've invested in some Texans futures. And
you got off your Colts. Yeah,
the Colts. I mean, Daniel Jones breaks his leg, and it's like, it's all right. He's got a broken leg, but he'll be all right. And now you got Phillip Rivers, who refuses to just go home and take care of his 12 kids and coach football. I mean, it's amazing. It's over, Phillip. But anyhow, I invested in the Texans when they came back and beat Jacksonville. When Davis Mills rallied them in that 4th quarter, I said, this defense is good enough that even if it's Davis Mills, they could cause some problems in the AFC in the playoff picture. I got them at a little less than 30-1, and then all the way down to 18-1. But anyhow, I'm not interested in laying points with the team that's still challenged or panicked. It's a tied game. You don't need to go for it down on your own 30-yard line there. Their defense had been very good, the Chiefs. They had the Texans in check, and it was just a panic move at the wrong time. So they did. I don't hate your play of taking the points in this game or waiting for 10 because I think it's going to get to 10. Not interested for me. I just need them to win here, the Texans.
All right, we'll see if they do that for you. Bills, Patriots plus 1.5. It's kind of pick 'em really in most of the sharper books. The total is 49.5 here. What about this one?
Well, it's the last stand for the Bills. They have to win this game if they want to have any shot at winning the division, right? And we saw this game earlier in the year in Buffalo. We saw, the Patriots shocked the world. Everybody thought they're going to improve a few wins, but nobody thought that this team had a shot to compete for the number 1 seed. My problem is the Bills can't play consistently. They can't play 3 good games in a row. I have to take the home dog in this spot, and I made a small play already on New England. It's going to be the biggest game in Foxborough in about 5 or 6 years. I think they're going to be ready for the Bills. I think they're going to be able to control the line against this Bills smallish defense. And so I just think you take the home dog in a game that's a coin flip.
How do you not take this when we already saw it and they're coming off the bye? It's just buy spots everywhere on New England. I'm with you. I took New England as well, plus 100. I'll take a even money bet from any of these books that are going to give me them at home in this situation, especially when the fact that Drake May is still trying to be an MVP. And they just have the Bills number. This Bills defense is awful, especially from the secondary. Sure, their tricks got through last week when they were running a lot of counters and they had 2 tight end spots, but Vrabel is going to be ready for those looks, and he saw them all last week, so it's over for the Bills. Bills will make the playoffs, but they're not going to win the division. Unfortunately, I had the Bills, of course, to win the AFC West, or no, the AFC. I had them as the number 1 seed, if you remember back when we talked right before the season, Mike. But yeah, unfortunately, that one's dead. Raiders, Eagles minus 11.5 total, 38.5. I'm starting to like these 10-point teasers at minus 120. You got to have 3 teams. This is going to be one of mine for that. As long as you tease good teams with good coach, well, decent coaches or good teams, some sort of that mix, you usually hit them. But otherwise, I'm not playing the Eagles to cover any type of spread past 3 these days.
The Raiders don't have the talent on their roster. They have the least talented. I'm convinced of that watching this team play. They have the worst roster in the NFL. And defense at all. I'm not interested in laying 11.5 in any game. I would even take a conventional teaser down here under 7 or consider it in one of my legs. I've played those 10-pointers for many years. I think they're fun, actually, in the NFL. And my friend Todd Wishnev turned me on to them about 7 or 8 years ago over at the South Point. So I like the way you're thinking here.
All right. Well, we'll keep our secret quiet if we can. Except we just talked about it. Bengals, Ravens. I'm passing, but I will say that I have a strong lean to the Bengals here, and I have something a little bit better when we get our beer bet banger portion of this podcast.
This Bengals team will be the best team that doesn't make the playoffs. I'm convinced of that. They had a few bad breaks. They were really controlling that ball. I mean, when you can execute on 3rd down on the road like they did last week, and unfortunately Burrow made that kind of tip pass that he made and the whole game swung. I really thought the Bengals were winning it all along at this point. It's just going to be a shame they got so far behind the 8 ball with his injury. Yeah. But I'm with you here. I'm on the Bengals. I'm absolutely on the Bengals. This is probably my second favorite play.
Yeah, these Bengals are getting very disrespectful against a broken Ravens team. The Chiefs minus 5.5 total, 41.5. I'm just going to keep betting against the Chiefs, Mike. I don't even need to really – anything past 3 is what the market's been giving me. I'm shocked it went from 4.5 to 5.5. Their offensive lineman is in shambles. They have no offensive line right now. I don't understand. Where's this disrespect coming in the Harbaugh? I hope Harbaugh has this freaking spread in the locker room before they even get out here. This is ridiculous to me. I'm taking the Chargers.
I took them at 2-1 on the money line, actually, and with the spread. But I actually took it 50/50 because they were missing 3 offensive linemen and lost a 4th for the year. On the first play. We saw what happened when they had an injured offensive line at the heyday. They went there and Tampa beat them by 30 points in the Super Bowl when you don't have an offensive line. And then everything becomes tense, and then Mahomes is trying to force the ball, and they can't. I mean, it just – the whole thing tumbles down. Last year, they were a team that won every game by 1 score. Now take away your whole offensive line. They're not a playoff team. They're not even an average team. You're right.
All right, we're right. We're right in step with each other. Commanders, Giants. What can go wrong, right? Commanders, Giants. Giants minus 2.5. Total 46.5. Dude, this line stinks to me. The Commanders got blown out last week. I was on the Commanders. I have a little rule. If I believed them the week before and I lose my ass, I can't bet against them the next week because that would really double hurt. But I think this line stinks, and the Giants are coming off the bye.
I even took the Commanders when they went to Mariota. They were down 17-0. I took them plus 16.5. I said, he's going to come in. He played right, and they doubled up. They got beat 34.
Pick immediately.
Oh, my God. My God. I mean, it was just unbelievable against arguably the worst quarterback in the NFL, J.J. McCarthy. I mean, the head coach lied the whole year. Oh, his ankle's hurt. Oh, he's a kid. It was all a lie. His ankle wasn't hurt. They were going to have the concussion protocol the rest of the year if that Brosmer kid could play at all. But he went to Seattle, and you saw what happened, and they had to say, oh, McCarthy's head is okay now. I mean, and that's what the Commanders lost 34-0 to. This line should be 6. What's wrong with this line?
I don't know what's wrong with this line, Mike. It is so weird. I'm with you. And I love your conspiracy theory because I believe in it. I'm with you. I think he was not hurt at all. His feelings were hurt, if anything. Colts, Seattle minus 13.5, total 42.5. I took Seattle at 10. As soon as I saw the quarterback issues they're going, now Riley Leonard's going to come back like he's some Superman. Look, I don't want to lay 13.5. I laid 10. I'm just no play now at the line, but it's a little too steep for me as it is.
I watched Riley Leonard in Jacksonville. There was some sort of wall that we couldn't see on the 30-yard line. When he got to the 30-yard line, it was over. They weren't going to pace one forward step from him. He was great between the 30s. Oh, look at Riley. He's got control of it. Look at Riley Leonard, smart Notre Dame guy, full control. He knows this offense. They couldn't go past the 30. How are you going to come back down 3 scores? They couldn't go back. I think Seattle covers this number. I'd even lay this 13.5. I lay everything up to 14.
All right, you Circa Survivor players, you remember that. If you have CL left, and the Circa Millions too, it looks like. Packers, Broncos plus 2.5, a total 42.5. I mean, I have this game at Pick'em. Do I get lucky and it goes up even higher? I don't know. The Broncos are kind of due for a smashing, but it's like the Packers could also feel a little happy from last week against the Bears. I don't know. It's probably a decent line, Mike. What do you think?
I don't like to lay points here on the road, but Jordan Love it's no longer a small sample size. Weeks 12 through 17 in his career. It's every year. He threw an interception against the Bears. He has 35 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So he's going to outplay Knicks. I think the Packers defense has been very good the last 5 weeks. My number says Packers 1.5. I'm going to take a pass and watch this game, but I'm not surprised if the Packers win this game by a touchdown or more.
Okay, Titans, 49ers, Niners off the bye. Pass for me.
Yeah, I could be Niners or bust, but I think the Titans off of a win that's probably a good thing for the Niners to focus them a little more, saying, hey, this team still has life. They just went into Cleveland and put up 32 points. We can't take them laying down, but it's also a pass for me.
The Niners will be part of my 10-point teaser. Rams, Lions, and the Lions minus 6. Or sorry, the Rams are minus 6. This got a little high for me. I was kind of hoping to go the other way, but it's kind of in that get 6.5. I have to start thinking the other way, Mike. I'm passing, but this is one of the weird ones where my power rings says Lions and my algorithm says Rams.
Should be a really fun game. I'm an under player. I took a little piece of over 53.5 here, but that's my only play just because I'm not sure how many stops the Lions are going to get on the road here in this game, but I think they'll be able to throw the ball enough to stay in it. So I'm right. The 6 froze me. I couldn't do anything with it.
God, here's how my totals have been. The better it's looked, the worse result. That's just literally how my totals went this year, man. Carolina versus the Saints. Saints plus 2.5, total 40.5. Dude, I laid it with the Panthers. It's going that way. I don't love it at all. Kind of what you said about laying the road chalk, but this is a revenge spot. This is a coming off the bye spot. The Panthers outgained the Saints and just crapped all over themselves. This is a spot where Bryce Young has to show up. Low total, but I mean, I won't like it at 3 if it gets there. I just like it at 2.5.
I also bet it at 2.5. I think they've had this circled. They were embarrassed at home, losing to the Saints. I mean, that might be the game that keeps them out of the playoffs, and they're still live. They're still live. I mean, at
They are
7 wins, they're still live here, and they have winnable games. And the Saints are, can they put two efforts together in a row? I don't know. They don't feel like a major league outfit to me. So I played Carolina.
Vikings, Cowboys, -5.5, total 47.5. I will say, if the Vikings didn't smoke the Washington Commanders last week, I think this line would probably be 7.5, Mike. But it is lean to the Cowboys for me, and I can't get there.
Well, I played it. I played it because I just don't believe in this Minnesota team. And I don't believe in Flores' defense against experienced quarterbacks. I think if you go back through and you look at the splits, he's good against quarterbacks in their first 2 years. That's not Dak. And I think you're right. I think if Minnesota would have lost at home to the Commanders, this game is 8. And so I laid the 5.5 here. And I'm not a huge Cowboy backer, but I'm just anti-Vikings at this point.
If you bet overreactions in the market, you're probably a profitable bettor. Monday night, Miami versus Pitt. Pitt -3.5 in some books, total 41.5. Now that you put circa millions at 3.5, the Miami will be on my millions ticket. This Steelers team is another fraudulent team. Everyone talks about Tua in the cold. Well, that didn't work out too well last week at New York. Tua was just fine in the cold last week. And this Dolphins team is kind of quietly given the middle finger to all their critics this year. Believe it or not, they have the same record as the Chiefs, and they're probably not going to make the playoffs, but this team still has a lot of fight in them. 3.5 is too much for Pittsburgh, in my opinion. Now TJ Watt's in the hospital with some crazy lung issue that scares the hell out of me. I hope he's okay, but I'm taking the points.
Yeah, I took +150 on the money line here. I think Miami's the better team. They're on a roll. They do have an outside path to the playoffs. Just think of the wasted season this was for this Dolphins team, watching them play the last 5 or 6 weeks. They blew this season at the beginning with all the nonsense between Tua and this head coach. I guess they kept the head coach. I thought that was incredible. But they've looked great. You know it against Atlanta, how they played when you talked about your survivor. I think Miami's a better team here, and I bet them to win the game.
All right, fair enough. It looks like we are both on that side. Let's move on to the next segment here then, Mike. We have a little anything. Well, before we get into beer bet bangers, anything in college football that you like coming up?
I like Oklahoma in the game against Alabama in the Friday night playoff game because I think their special teams are much better, and I think Simpson's hurt. I think he got hurt on the last play of the first half against Georgia. That offense is not good. And the field goal kicker for Alabama is erratic. The field goal kicker for Oklahoma might be the best kicker in the country. I think it comes down to special teams here. Game's a pick at Circa. You can find places where you can get points with Oklahoma at home, but I like Oklahoma. That's my best bet of the first round.
I like Oklahoma too, and I took +1.5 when it opened. I'm not believing in Alabama. I think you're right about Simpson's injury. I think they're playing terrible right now, while Oklahoma had more time off, and Oklahoma knows they can beat them because they beat them before, even though they were outgained. A lot of these outgained situations, it's prevent defense. That happens a lot. And some teams just play it that way, and you have to understand that. I think Mateer can show up for one of these, so I'm with you as well on this one. Let's move into our beer bet bangers, Mike. Any plus money bet, and I'm just going to surprise you here, and I'm going to make an argument. I found it at 17-1, Mike. I believe that the Bengals win out and make the playoffs, win the division at 17-1. Look at this. So they have to win out. But if you look at the first tiebreaker, they're 3-1 and division, and the Steelers are 3-1. Looking at the schedule here, the Steelers schedule possibly losing, like you think and me think, against the Dolphins this week. At the Lions, loss. At Cleveland, certainly not a guaranteed win, and home against the Ravens. They just need to lose one of these division games because the Bengals just can win this one at home this week that we both like, and they win against the Browns at home. Now the Bengals have to go to Miami and win, but I think Joe Burrow can do that, and I sure as hell think they can beat the Cardinals. You look at the Ravens here. The Ravens obviously would be losing this week at the Bengals. Then you have the Ravens against the Patriots. Forget it. At the Packers, really forget it. I think the Ravens are out, and I think the Bengals come back and they win. And this is a 17-1 beer bet banger that I like to win the division, Mike.
All right, I'm going to close with our little segment here, and I appreciate the time with the 14-1 shot. And that's in the NHL for the Calder Trophy, which is Rookie of the Year. Jesper Wallstedt, the goaltender for the Minnesota Wild. He had an incredible November. He went 7-0. He's only lost one game in his last 10 starts, only one game in regulation the whole year. He's getting almost equal time in goal. The reason he's 14-1 is because Matthew Schaefer for the Islanders has been an overwhelming favorite since early in the year. I'm going to tell you, Schaefer doesn't play against the other team top line. He got off to a great start. He started to slow down a little bit here. Some people looking at Wallstedt at the Vezina at 40-1. I think the better bet is Rookie of the Year, the Calder, 14-1. The Wall of St. Paul, I call him, Jesper Wallstedt.
I love it. Jesper Wallstedt, Wall St. Paul. Great number, Mike. And more importantly, great guest. Mike, thank you so much for coming on the Odds Breakers and breaking everything down. Tell our guests and listeners where they could find your great information in place.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to the Mike Palm Circa on Twitter, Poker Mike 73 on Instagram. I have some content up there as well as seeing me on the various VSiN shows on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Kev, thanks for the time.
Make sure you guys follow Mike Palm.